So we're almost there. It's almost freaking November. It's is there a 31st of October? Is that Halloween? Well, if there is, then Halloween's only a week away, and then only one more holiday until Christmas. Right? Until Christmas. So, what would the Christmas list of a lifter be? What would that consist of? Or let's say you know somebody who's a little, they're in the space, maybe they're, I definitely can tell, at least in the couple of gyms that I walk around at, there's a couple stocking stuffers I'd recommend. One, and this is on the more like, low stakes kind of end, phone tripod, easy, $15 on Amazon. And honestly, as just a little bit of a self-gift to you, I'd recommend getting one just so that you could actually, clip your lifts. Not because, not even purely for the sake of like posting it, but also just so you have those videos to look back on, or those flexing just kind of pose downs or anything. I wish I had more. I guess I'm glad I waited, because now I've got a lot of time. I've got like a full 7 years-ish, a little more than 7 years worth of a transformation video to make, which I've never actually gone through yet. I've got to get all my old... I put all my pictures from my phone onto this hard drive, but the hard drive isn't like the photos aren't organized by date. So I gotta kind of manually go through them and find the time where each one was, so that it can all actually be in order. But no, I really wish I was busting out a tripod earlier. I was kind of, I'd say fitness had a resurgence in like 2018. I think there was like a spike in like the 2012 like David Lade era kind of deal. And then I think it kind of maybe chilled out a little bit, or just stayed where it was. And then I think 2018 was a big bump. So when I started working out, there were a lot of influencer characters. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, these guys just work out to post it. So I was the idea of walking around with the tripod was like, ugh, look at this guy. Right? And then now I say that, but then look at me now. But I do wish I had one, and not even for like anything special. Like I wish I had videos of myself doing dumbbell curls back when I was a sophomore in high school. I wish I had videos of the first time I tried squatting. I wish I had videos of let's see, what's one more thing? Or just anything. I really do wish I had more. But yeah, taking it up a notch a little more, especially if you know somebody who's posting a little bit. Or actually, what I think is, this is something at least more serious gyms I could totally see the appeal of. Like if you're a Gold's Gym, or if you're like a real legit serious bodybuilder gym, why wouldn't like you as a gym owner buy a camera, like a fancy pants camera, and then do like a day rental where, let's say it was, you got to include the lens in the camera and maybe a little bit of like some kind of insurance, because what if some guy drops it? But I mean, a pretty fancy looking camera, that would totally beat a phone for people to actually get their own clips, or just like posing shots or anything. I mean, I think there's something there. But yeah, when it comes to the camera side of things, there's definitely a gradient. I mean, like at the Olympia, I got to see David Lade walking around with this big ass, like, red Komodo something or other. Like, just nuts. And then, cameras that movies get filmed on, for the most part, like real fancy pants. Like, these things are nuts. These things are six-figure. Like, it's crazy. So it's a diminishing return kind of situation. So the lower end of price is improving pretty dramatically. Like, I think all the Sony stuff is really good. I think a really solid setup, which would probably be like, I don't know, you can kind of find a steal, because as long as it's not broken, a used camera is perfect. Like, there's no problem with a used one versus a brand new. So I would definitely look for used, probably a Sony ZV E1 II, and like a Sigma 18 to 50 or something like that. So if you're already kind of looking into it, you know what you're looking for. But that combo right there would be pretty good, because that kind of gives you the fancy kind of camera look. Because not only if you want to post something does it look cooler, but I'm glad I switched to a real camera. Like, all these YouTube videos were on my phone for I think almost a year. It was that first January up into, it was the phone for at least 9 months or so before I actually got a camera. And once I learned how to use it, I'm like, oh, maybe I should have used the camera a little bit earlier, just because it's cooler to look back on the clips in like a full 4K whatever. But now, plan for today's lift, after that little ramble, is back. So back action. And I'm not I'm not gonna go too crazy, I don't think. But I'll just see how I feel once I actually get started, because I felt kind of under-recovered yesterday for chest, so I made the chest lift a little bit more chill. Like, one heavy set of 3 plates, and then after that was just like 6 or I don't know. I think it might have been 7 sets of just converging cable press with a squeeze and hold. So nothing crazy, but just, enough to get fully pumped and get some workflow, but nothing wild. Not like camping out doing, 4 sets of the 150s like I did the chest day before. So now might be the point of the diet where I actually am feeling substantially leaner. Like, even unpumped, just like when I wake up in the morning and I see myself in the mirror, like, I can tell I'm much leaner than I was 2 months ago. But the cost of that is I can also tell that my muscular endurance in the gym is kind of taking a little bit of a hit. Overall strength, not so much, but I'm not doing 5 sets of a really heavy weight like I might have been before. I kind of have to pull it back a touch and be a little more, just a little more conservative with it. So whether today ends up being a bit heavier or lighter squeezing, really doesn't matter. I know I'm gonna bring it, so whichever is, makes more sense for the day, well, then that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna get to enjoy it, right? Obviously, I like being on the heavier end in general, because I know that in the extremes of things, I think doing all really light sets versus doing all sets as heavy as you can go, I think the best answer is a little more on that heavier side. I'm not saying all the way, but I think it leans a little more there, because what's one of the primary drivers of hypertrophy, of muscle stimulation, right? It's tension. It's actual like work. So a lot of guys talk about like, well, I'm making this set hard because I'm making the weight heavier from how I do it. I'm doing lightweight, but I'm squeezing it extra hard and I'm making it heavy. And I do think that's true. That's a really good approach. You're not going to hurt yourself, and you can still go really hard. But the idea that negates making a set heavier by doing more weight is a little bit it just seems a little silly. Like, obviously you can make it heavier by executing the reps in a more controlled, squeezing way, but you could also just make them heavier. So it's a little mix of the two. Right, as long as you're feeling solid, I think you can go pretty hard. But on a day where maybe you're a little more tender, but you're not going to take a full-on rest day, just do some light squeezing work, what you might call pump work. Still break a sweat, go hard, knowing you still did something, because that at least puts you a small step forward. And you got to think about what your goals are in that moment anyway. Like, when I'm trying to bulk up, I want every lift completely perfect. Not in like an OCD kind of way, but in the sense of I want to have eaten maybe 3,500 calories of food so far in the day, be able to chill for like an hour before, kind of like let my stomach settle, just relax for a minute, maybe even take a short nap, and then wake up, okay, I'm energized, I'm full, all right, let's go. Come into the gym, pre-workout, hit everything, go crazy, finish pumped as a freaking hot air balloon, get in the car, come back and eat more food. Like, I want every set to really just have my back behind it. But dieting down, obviously I still have to, not even have to, the workouts are still at that certain level of intensity. But, what's the point of dieting, right? The difficulty has now transferred from the in the gym training of like real effort and making sure that every set I do stimulates new growth. Now the hard part is in the training. Like to diet down is almost to, I think, in a way, back off on your training's overall intensity, because the hard part is limiting your food intake, right? The hard part is not opening the closet door at 2 a.m. and just eating 3 sleeves of saltines because you were kind of hungry. So these over these last 2 months, since the dieting part was pretty easy, it kind of seemed like I was taking it easy, because it's like, all right, well, I don't have to squat 5 plates anymore. I still did a couple times, but I don't have to. And I don't really have to force food anymore. I can just eat when I'm hungry. Nice. But now we're to the point where I actually am being very intentional with the meals I eat, so that I can keep my daily calorie intake under control, right where I want it. But yeah, nothing else to say there. So let's just get Blue into the gym. He'll probably end up taking a nap on the dog bed, and then I'll get some work done. But let's get started. All right, so I'm not going to start with anything crazy, and I want to change it up from normal. So instead of a heavy pull down like I normally do, I think today I want to start with a kind of lighter, squeezing, burning mid-back row. And when I say mid-back row, I just mean, well, I guess I just mean a regular row. When it comes to back, there's a little bit of like, you can do a flat row where you're pulling directly towards your back, like 90-degree angle to your spine. And you can kind of do like an upright row where you're pulling a little higher, so your hands are kind of coming up. And then sometimes you can do a little bit of a, kind of pull-downy row where it's kind of coming down here, but it's still not like a total up and down pull down, if you get what I'm saying. But yeah, I want to get a little closer to the cable and almost pull up toward my mid-back. So instead of putting my feet here, this far away, I kind of jerry-rigged this pull-down handle so I can put my feet on this side and be real close. So with only 200 pounds, that's not wild. If I was really going to like heft a set, then I'd just do the standard, feet here and wrench it. But these reps are going to be very intentional. If I can pick a good TikTok edit to go along with it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 2 more of those. Yeah, that's good. Good boy. One more. Two. Ooh, all right. Let's do a standard pull down now. That was a good start as a row for sure. Okay. Ooh, all right. One more of those. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's hit a finisher. If this one's good, this can be the finisher. Kind of a squeezing half row, half pull down combo. All right. Let's see how we're looking. That was good. That wasn't too crazy. I didn't pull anything. 3 sets of rows, 2 sets of pull downs, 1 set of that cable pull down row combo, and then I did a couple single arm pullovers that I didn't clip, just get a little bit of extra lat pumpage, but let's see what it all added up to. Actually, let me try to scoot forward just a touch. There we go. Yeah, now we're cooking with gas. Oh. Oh my goodness. All right. Pumped. I'm feeling gradually slimmer and slimmer in the stomach. Now what's left to do is go eat something and just go on with the rest of my day. All right. Yeah, I couldn't think of a good way to put it into words, but on that last set of pull downs, going into that set of that cable pull down row combo, I was really getting myself amped up, kind of from the idea of thinking about, you know, how many people see a long shot and they don't even try, right? You get because if you boil, I was thinking this, I'm like, if you boil it down, sure, there's all sorts of little shots you shoot basically throughout your entire life, but for the most part, it's just one big one the whole time. That's it. And imagine like if everybody in your town or something all had to try to throw a full court shot. How many people wouldn't even think about it? They're like, just screw it, whatever. I just want to be done with this. Oh, people are watching me. I don't want to. It's like people want to be so nonchalant about it, as if trying isn't cool, as if going for it on its own isn't cool, right? There's like this weird, like, I'm not doing that. There's this weird, like, I'm not even going to try approach to a ton of stuff that's just, it's not cool, and it puts me down to hear it, right? And it's never blatant. It's always like kind of a minor unspoken sort of thing, and it just stems from, at like the deepest level, like a fear of judgment, I feel. not, so when I say at the deepest level, I mean, it doesn't come off that way, right? Like if you were to ask somebody, like, dude, why aren't you really going for it on that set, man? Like, why aren't you going to try to, or, I mean, even for a beginner, like, dude, come on, you're worried about people, why don't you want to come to the gym with us, bro? And then his stated reason is, oh, I'm just not feeling it. I'm busy. I got to do this project. I'm working on this thing. The subconscious answer is, oh man, I'm not comfortable. I don't want people to judge me. I don't know what I'm doing. Everyone else has been in the gym for years. Like, they know what they're doing. I don't want to stick out. Like, that's the subconscious thought. And then deeper than that is like, oh, I just don't want people to judge me. And if you can get over that, well, dude, you're set, And that's probably one of the biggest maturity factors that anybody can get a hold of, is not necessarily lack of fear of judgment, but more so just an indifference. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. You're the one basically watching everything you do all the time. Sometimes we're kind of on autopilot where, you just go through the motions. It doesn't require like intense active thought to, wake up and do your cardio or eat something. Maybe you're watching, I know I'll go through and rewatch old movies. I'm not even watching it, I just kind of have it listening. And I'm just kind of passing through time, just passively, right? It doesn't take a ton of thought. So at the end of the day, you're the one watching your whole life unfold. So shouldn't you be the one who you're kind of catering everything you do for, right? It's like the classic idea of like, your life's a movie. What would you do next if this was the beginning of it, right? And you wanted it to be interesting. There's a lot of value in that statement. But even then, that's where I could definitely see people hearing that kind of quote. Like, I know Joe Rogan's thrown that out a couple times. I always see that turned into like a short form motivational video. And it's like, whatever, getting back to what I was saying a second ago, because if it's a long shot on something you want to do or try to do, well, then you're not going to go for it, right? It's, screw it, who cares? Probably wouldn't have even worked out anyway. But the fact that I imagine the majority of people think like that, then you're already ahead of the game by I don't know what percentile if you go for it, because everyone else is going to say, screw it, it's not even worth it, right? It's it's like there's such a not sheep mentality in like a mean kind of derogatory way, but like there's a very safe feeling of just doing only what you're 100% capable of and not venturing out, because then there's not a lot of fear of failure, there's not a lot of fear of just learning, or just because if you can do it, whatever it may be, well, then you got no problem doing it, and it's very comfortable. Just keep doing it, right? Oh, whoa, I must have blown my nose too hard or something. I had I just got like a weird burning feeling. But yeah, what's within someone's level of capability isn't cool, right? Because all that means is, well, shit, man, you can already do that. That's not really like, I'm not going to tie my shoe and then look at somebody like, hey man, did you see that? I tied my shoe on my own this time. Right? Now, if I'm, I don't know how old I was when I learned how to tie my shoes. Definitely sub 6. I don't know. Whatever. At that time, for me to tie my freaking shoe and say, hey, check this shit out. Yeah, I didn't need any help. I did it. I know what I'm doing. No more Velcro for me. At the time, that was a new thing. So it made it cool, right? So, extrapolate that into anything else. Well, shit, man, you got to push it, right? The whole point of anything that's kind of a long game is that, every increment of time that passes, you're now a different dude. You've got more skills. You've potentially done more things. You know more stuff. And even if that whole journey was full of L's, well, then guess what? You didn't actually, have losses. You just had learning experiences. But that's easy to say when I'm just talking about it. Like if you've ever really, we've all been there. Shit's hit the fan for real. Like shit is going out of your control. You're like, this really sucks right now. Well, you don't really know it's a learning experience in the moment, but after a little bit of time, you say, ooh, shit, man. If I didn't go through that, well, then I wouldn't be the guy I am now. So I guess it all worked out, right? You can either win or learn. And even when you win, you still learn. So I think that's a really good approach to have. And when I look back, at all sorts of crazy stuff that I've gone through, nothing like, insane, but, as crazy as anybody. Shit, that's the point. If it was all fun and games, well, there'd be no stakes. And if there's no stakes, well, then there's no value. So it's kind of a Jake from Adventure Time sort of quote where you need problems. But not so much that, like, you should ask for problems. It's more so just when they arise, well, just handle it. So I know that's not a very specific piece of advice, but if you've got a situation that kind of corresponds, then you kind of know what I'm talking about. So good luck with your unspoken battle. Right? I know we all have them, little things you might not want to talk about, you might not want to bring up. Don't worry, man. Everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's got some shit going down. But now, plan now is go home. I've got a Tupperware full of, I think, at least another pound of ground beef. So I'm going to put together 8 ounces of that, maybe 60 or 70 grams of carbs worth of white rice, some low sugar. Oh, I just remembered I'm out of low sugar barbecue sauce. Okay, well, I'll add something. And no matter what it is, I'll still count the calories in it so I don't go over. And then we'll just go from there. But yeah, good back day. Feeling rather pumped. And I'm getting excited to see a lean back. I'm going to have to actually start doing cardio posing, because as cool as posing with a back pump is, eventually, I'll get lean enough where looking at my back fully pumped actually takes away from the coolness of it, because it gets rid of some separation and like cuts. Because when you pump a muscle up, all it does is swell. So if you fill up a balloon hard enough, no matter what shape it was supposed to be in, eventually it'll just be round, right? So it's kind of a coming full circle where you actually look cooler unpumped once you're lean enough, because then you can really see all the grain and detail that you got working with. Not that a pump is ever not cool, but it's just a certain state of being. But yeah, nothing else to say there. I think this week I'm going to end up averaging probably 249 morning weight, which is just about right. And then we'll just see from there. I haven't been tracking my weight. I just kind of have been weighing myself and then remembering what my weight has been at. But I'm going to start actually plotting it in a Google Sheets so I can see a graph over the next few weeks. It definitely helps to be able to see that. And then plus it's just kind of fun. You plug in all the data, you look at the trend, you're like, oh, nice, things are working. And once you have that kind of numerical, quantitative data that proves, shit, man, I have been making progress, it's that much more gratifying, because it's like, it's measurable. It's not just purely visual. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for either arms or maybe forearms and shoulders. I've been saying that for a little while. I think tomorrow might actually be the day that I do it. But we'll see. So, I'll see you then.